Hello and Borida, because we're behind the woolen curtain from Glan Y Gors in North Wales for round 3 of the 2012 Club 100 Championship. As ever, the scoring system, 2 scoring finals per round. Palm in a jar leads after 2 rounds of this 11-round championship. Chris Powell second and qualifies in pole position for this first final. Chris Bell on the front row, a welcome return for him. Chris Hansen, Ian Blake start on row 2, Stuart Simons, Oliver Allwood on row 3, Brian Trott, Darren Teal on row 4, Johnny Goddard and Richard Hyam round out the top 10 of this 16-kart grid. Rolling up to the start now, coming into the final corner, looking for that Union flag. Powell controls the pace. We're racing as we go down to turn 1. Powell sweeps into the lead. Can Bell get across to get on his bumper? He can't, and Hansen is through to second as they go down the main straight. Up the hill and in into Spoon Corner. Ian Blake off the track on the left. Now tipping in, contact their make-up with the red lid. In a sandwich with Simon Young and Dan Gore, who'd want to be there. Pete O'Connor goes through, he carries one of our onboard cameras. We're on board with Dan Gore, tipping into the carousel. Maycock wobbles off the corner. And they go up the hill, and Blake's into the boonies once again. Up front, on board with Chris Hansen, as they go into Druids 1, Druids 2. In the paddock corner, end of lap 1. Chris Powell leads Chris Hansen into club corner. So it's Powell, Hansen, Chris Bell just off his bumper. Turning right uphill to the Spoon Corner. Powell tips in. Hansen can't quite follow him. Will he get a run off the corner? Down to the carousel. Right on his bumper with Bell, Simons, Oliver Allwood, Brian Trott with the blue lid, Darren Teal, Goddard in 8th, Richard Hyam in 10th, through Compression Corner, into Druids 1, Hansen down the inside, late and hard, what a good move from Chris Hansen. Now can he get back online and get his momentum up as they come through Paddock Bend? Yes he can. Chris Powell now down to second. In the zone. Is he going to sweep inside into the right-hander? No, he's not. They go uphill once again. Simons to the inside of Chris Bell. Into the Spoon Corner. Edges him out. Stu Simons up to third. Pete O'Connor's just gone past Tim Clark down in the midfield. We're on board with Darren Gore, who's been short to the outside and loses out to Maycock. So Maycock up to 12th. Climbing the hill once again, up to Compression Corner. Slight lift from Gore, then sweeping into Druids 1. Druids 2. Into the Devil's Elbow. Paddock Bend and on to lap 4. And it's still Hansen from Powell with Stu Simons, and it's beginning to rain. So Hansen leads out Powell, Simons, gap now to Bell. Oliver Allwood looking at the inside in the right-hander and he's through. Good move from Oliver Allwood. Simons looking at the inside of Powell, can't get it done. Oh, and Chris Bell's hung out to dry around the outside. He can't get back in. Brian Trott goes around him. Darren Teal's down the inside and here comes John Goddard down the inside. Oh, it's one slight mistake from Bell and he's been shuffled down the line. He's finally got in behind Richard Hyam. Well, he started the lap in 3rd. He's now down in about 8th place. Chris Powell repeats the move that Chris Hansen put on him and is back in front. 4 laps down of this pulsating 12-lap final. And it's Powell from Hansen, Simons, Allwood, Trott, Darren Teal, Johnny Goddard, Chris Bell down in 8th. I'm in 9th. Pete O'Connor up to 10th. Hansen looking to go around the outside of Chris Powell. It's a big, bold move. There's plenty of waft in that car, but he can't get it done. Powell stays in the lead. Powell on the defensive, down to the carousel to hold off Chris Hansen, who's looking particularly racy in this first final. So climbing up to Compression Corner. Quick break, or maybe it's a slight lift. Tipping into Druids 1. Powell goes in very deep. Oh, and Johnny Goddard was down the inside of Darren Teal, and Teal's taking it back on the exit. Chris Bell now getting a move on Goddard, and through goes Richard Hyam. We're on board with Pete O'Connor. He's done the pair of them, and Dan Gore's trying to go through. And he's done it. So we're through half distance. It is still trying to rain. So the front five, it's Powell, Hanson, Simons, Allwood, Trott, just off Darren Teal. Then there's a gap developing to Richard Hyam in 7th place. He's followed by O'Connor, Gore, Chris Bell, Tim Clark, Johnny Goddard. Gap then to Simon Young, Parveen Jar and John Maycock. Ian Blake is 30 seconds behind the leader. And just practicing for final 2. Back on board with Dan Gore. Sweeping into Paddock Bend. And the rain is getting heavier. Will they be able to get this final in before the grip goes? Hanson pulls out from behind. Chris Powell looking to go round the outside. He's tried this before. It didn't work then. It hasn't worked now. Powell holds the inside. Stu Simons now onto the bumper of Hanson. Shake of the head. Must have been a bit of contact there from Allwood. Trott holding off Darren Teal. Richard Hyam has towed Pete O'Connor and Dan Gore to this group. So we've now got a 9-car battle for the lead. On board with O'Connor, sweeping into Druids 1. Quite a lift there. Bit of contact with Hyam. End of lap 7, on to lap 8. Can Hanson get a better run this time? Oh, he's a couple of kart lengths down, but he's in the suck zone, and he's drafting up behind him. Not close enough, and Powell once again on the narrow line into Spoon. Dan Gore looking at the inside of Pete O'Connor. Had to back off, and he's lost out to Chris Bell. So Bell back in 9th place. Oh, and Dan Gore's lost out to Johnny Goddard as well. Oh, he's put wheels on the grass. That's going to cost him another position to Tim Clark. Trott down the inside of Allwood. Contact with Stu Simons, who's forced to go very narrow. Oh, heavy contact with Allwood. Trott's out. Where's he coming back? Oh, right on the nose of Dan Gore. And he's lost out to John Maycock. Goes from bad to worse for Dan Gore, but it's looking very good for Chris Hanson. Right on the bumper of Chris Powell now. Still no way through. Darren Teal down the inside of Stu Simons and up to 3rd. So he's done it very quietly, but Darren Teal moving forward. From his 8th grid start, he's up to 3rd. And you can see from the water on the lens, it's still raining. The grip is a bit iffy now. O'Connor looking at the bumper of Richard Hyam over start-finish. In 8th place, with Chris Bell on his bumper. And the leading duo have pulled clear of Darren Teal. It looks as though it's going to be a 2-way fight to the finish between Chris Powell and Chris Hanson. Pete O'Connor still can't find a way past Richard Hyam in the fight for 5th. Further back, Dan Gore's trying to tow Tim Clark, Parveen Jar, John Maycock and Simon Young back to the main pack. They'll be lucky from there. Maycock holding off Simon Young. And Hanson now getting very ballsy behind Chris Powell. He's got some meat for him. And he's showing it now as he goes down the straight. But look how narrow Chris Powell's going in to the right-hander, and there isn't any room up the inside of Spoon Corner. Hanson's going to have to find a different way past, because I don't think it's going to be the end of the drag-on straight. So O'Connor still looking for a way past Richard Hyam. Can't get it done. Coming round to start the final lap. Has Chris Hansen got anything for Chris Powell? The 2010 champion, driving a tactical race using all his racecraft to stay ahead of the young charger. Waft again, but there's no way around the outside. And I think Hansen's resigned to that now. He's going to have to find a way down, perhaps at the carousel if he can get a good run. Powell takes a look. He's able to keep on the racing line rather than having to defend. Teal's got third, locked up. Stu Simons hanging on to fourth ahead of Richard Hyam, who's closing in. Druids 1, Powell runs narrow into Druids 2 to hold off Hansen. There's only 3 corners from the finish. Powell's got this one covered, unless he makes a mistake. He's not going to make it. Chris Powell wins final one from an excellent second for Chris Hansen. Darren Teal comes through to third. Back with the prima donnas in Premier Class. Pete O'Connor starts in pole position. John Maycock on the front row. Stu Simons, Oliver Allwood on row 2. Brian Trott, Johnny Goddard on row 3. Richard Hyam, Simon Young on row 4. Darren Teal and Chris Hansen round out the top 10. Rolling round, well, here we go again. Pete O'Connor controls the pace. Not quite as fast this time over the start line as the first final. Allwood trying to cut to the inside to get second place. Can't get it done from grid 4. He loses out to Trott. Simons on the bumper. Oh, Pete O'Connor. So John Maycock will be shuffled down the line on the outside as they go uphill. How much grip will there be at the spoon corner? There's a bit of loading up going on. And Stu Simons is out ahead. Oh, Pete O'Connor. I think I saw Chris Powell running out wide and onto the grass. Oh, heavy contact on Dan Gore. Was that by Hansen? Well, Gore's gone, grass tracking. There's no grip down at the carousel and John Maycock runs out wide. He started second, he's down to 7th. Down the inside, Pete O'Connor for the lead. Can he get it turned though? Yes, he can, and Brian Trott's got past Simons as well. So it's O'Connor from Trott, Simons, Allwood. Coming through in 5th place is Richard Hyam, ahead of Johnny Goddard. Through the elbow, slip sliding into Paddock Bend. The search for grip. End of lap 1. Pete O'Connor leads from Trott, Simons, Allwood, Hyam, Goddard, Maycock, Darren Teal. Palmvina Jar finally beginning to show the championship leader. Poor day for him. It was Chris Powell running out wide on lap 1 at Spoon Corner. They're back there again. How little grip will there be this time? And Brian Trott's down the inside of Pete O'Connor. The 2004-2005 Heavyweight Club 100 champion leads this Premier Class encounter. Doubling up with a run in Easy Kart this year. Coverage of that available at your favourite stockist. And O'Connor's got a better run out of Carousel and is back in front ahead of Allwood. Simons in 4th, Goddard in 5th, holding off Richard Hyam. Back on board with Dan Gore for a moment. Ian Blake down the inside of Tim Clark for 11th place. Trott finding a way past if he can in the Druids complex. Oh, it's all a bit busy back here. Back on board with Gore, not much to see out of that camera lens. Trott leads over start finish and Oliver Allwood is coming through. Allwood up to 2nd as O'Connor gets left hanging on the outside. Stu Simons trying to get traction and Johnny Goddard is closing in rapidly as the leading quartet trip themselves up. Back on board with O'Connor tapping on the bumper of Oliver Allwood, who wobbled off that curb. Can he hold a reasonable line into the spoon? Running wide on what you'd call the karting line now. So the traction and the grip has gone. Spinning up the rears there by O'Connor as he drops a wheel off the edge of the track. Can he get it to turn? Yes, he can. Goddard looking for a way past Stu Simons there on the exit of the carousel. Somebody ran wide. We're on board with Gore trying to get back past Tim Clark. Blake looking to the inside of Simon Young into the compression corner. There was contact. Oh, and Simon Young is unimpressed and he loses out to Palmvina Jar. The championship leader showing at last in final 2. And Young's under pressure from Chris Powell. Remember, he went off at Spoon on lap 1. He's now up to 12th as he eases his way past Simon Young. Well, it's definitely raining, there's no doubt about that now. We're on the wet line, scrabbling for grip on the prime tyres. We can call them the prime tyres because they're the only tyres that Club 100 use. No wets here, they're for Jessies. Chris Bell ahead of Darren Teal, tipping in. Battle for 8th place, Ian Blake behind. Powell just picked off Palmvie in a jar. At least he's tried to. Palmvie has got it back on the exit. So Najjar stays in 11th. Blake down the inside of Teal. Will Teal have the opportunity to run round the outside? He won't. And Bell pulls clear. Powell now trying round the outside of Palmvie in compression. That's a bit brave. Najjar gives him room. They're dicing for the championship lead. But after final one, Chris Powell leads the championship. On board with Dan Gore, still looking for grip, and there's very little. Trying to get it to turn. Paddock corner. Gore getting a run on Tim Clark over start finish. Looking to the inside, eases his way through. Young on the cutback. This is the fight for 13th place. Further forward, on board with O'Connor. 3rd place behind Oliver Allwood. Trott making his escape. Trott pulling well clear now. Maycock looking for a way past Stu Simons in what is the fight for 4th place. Powell and Najjar still going at it over 11th. Trott leads by 2 seconds over Oliver Allwood. Allwood with O'Connor on his bumper. Gap then to Simons, Maycock, Goddard. Gap to Hyam, gap to Bell, Blake, Teal. Powell is through. So Chris Powell up to 11th. Najjar now having to deal with Chris Hansen. And it looks as though Pete O'Connor could go quicker if he could just get ahead of Oliver Allwood. Allwood on the defensive. Sweeping into the right-hander. How much grip is there going to be? O'Connor looking to the inside. Can he launch it down the inside? Yes, he can. Now, can he get it turned? He can, but Allwood's able to cut back on the undercut and goes back through the second. And look how much ground that O'Connor loses. Dan Gore through on Chris Hansen. So go up to 13th. Hansen keen to get the position back. Has Gore opened the door into Druids? Yes, he has. The road goes in his favour. Heavy contact, Dan Gore on Chris Hansen. Both going for the same piece of track. So on to lap 7. Trott's lead now 4.5 seconds on Oliver Allwood. So Trott pulling clear by over half a second a lap. Simon still trying to hold off John Maycock. Johnny Goddard in behind. Maycock up the inside. John Maycock up to 4th, going into Spoon Corner. Simons appears to have lost his wet weather mojo, and Goddard comes down the inside for what is now 5th place, and he's through. No problem for Brian Trott. Look at the lead that he's got over Oliver Allwood, who's pulled out a few car lengths now on Pete O'Connor. O'Connor having to regroup, prepare for another assault to try and get second. Hansen down the inside of Palmvie in a jar. Lovely move. So Hansen up to 12th, Najjar back in 13th. Dan Gore trying to close once again over start-finish. Can he get a run on Najjar? Yes, he can. Wheels inside, heading for the kink. But Najjar's got a bit more pork going down the straight. Will Gore throw it up the inside into Spoon Corner. Chris Hansen has a head up the inside of Chris Bell. He's made it work going in, but lost it on the exit. Chris Bell stays in 11th place. Najjar in 13th, under pressure from Dan Gore, Tim Clark and Simon Young. Allwood. O'Connor now coming under increasing pressure from John Maycock, who's got a move there in Druids too. Chris Powell has just passed Ian Blake for 7th place. Najjar back ahead of Dan Gore. Fighting all the way through the field, and John Maycock's just picked off Pete O'Connor in Paddock Bend, and Goddard's going to do the pair of them, but he sweeps in too fast into Club Corner, and John Maycock's back in 3rd. Goddard in 4th. O'Connor looking over his shoulder at Stu Simons, who's got pressure of his own in the shape of Chris Powell, fighting back from the back of the field. Gore closing in on Parnveen Najjar, but at Spoon Corner, Chris Powell down the inside of Stu Simons. Powell up to 6th. Can he make any more positions up before the finish? It's a lap and a half from the finish. The rain coming in at 45 degrees. It's not very pleasant. So Powell's already moving on to the bumper of Pete O'Connor. Scrabbling, looking for grip. He's down the inside of O'Connor. Can he get it turned? Yes, he can. Lovely move from the former champion. And another former champion has started his final lap. He's destroyed the field. He's 9 seconds clear of 2nd place. Brian Trott heading for victory in final 2. Goddard to the inside of Maycock once again. This time in Club Corner he makes it stick, and he's up to 3rd place. Powell though getting a run on John Maycock. He's inside, there's nothing Maycock can do. It's a gimme for Chris Powell, and he's got it. Chris Powell up to 4th. Maycock coming straight back at him though, throws it inside, manages to upset Johnny Goddard. This could work for Chris Powell. He could do the pair of them down the hill with the momentum that he's carrying, and he's through. Chris Powell into 3rd, runs Goddard out wide. Maycock trying to recover. Great dicing, hard but fair. Maycock goes to cover Pete O'Connor. Oh, there's not much grip here. In compression, sweeping into Druids for the final time. Goddard and Maycock fighting over the Baby Prem Championship, and it's going Goddard's way at the moment. It's a win for Brian Trott. The fight is still on for 2nd, and everything back from there. Oliver Allwood's coming through in 2nd. Chris Powell gets 3rd. Goddard wins the Baby Prem battle ahead of John Maycock, Pete O'Connor and Ian Blake.
Jed Hicks, Ross Whelan, Robert Lark and Jed Hicks. If you're here, if you're in the house, come and sign on please, thank you. Okay, let's go at the front.